Mr. Heggoy. What can I say about Mr. Heggoy? He was not only one of the best teachers I ever had, but he was also one of the best people I ever knew. Everyone in this room knew him and loved him for many reasons, but universally, we've all been deeply touched by his kindness, his caring, and his light. I first met Mr. Heggoy in 1989. I was in 10th grade at Nandua and had to take a language. Spanish was too predictable, and, always looking for something different, I chose French, not knowing that Mr. Heggoy's French classes were about to completely change my life. This was me. Yep, I was awkward like we all were in high school. I was very different from my classmates. I was frustrated by the isolation of a pre-internet Eastern Shore and was dying to know what life was like off of this little peninsula. Enter Mr. Heggoy. I walked into his classroom and saw this lovely man with a broad smile and the coolest French accent I ever heard. And being from an Ancock, I hadn't heard a lot of French accents. He was born in Algeria and was the son of Norwegian parents. He went to French boarding school and told so many stories about his adventures all over the world. I was fascinated. Needless to say, I consumed his class and the French language completely. I looked so forward to his class every day, since it was my ticket off of the Eastern Shore. He was not only teaching me a language, but he was feeding my profound interest to learn about the other languages, other cultures, and other places. His class was a daily escape. I woke up every day for school so excited to get there so I could be mentally transported someplace way more interesting than Route 13. But more than all of this was Mr. Heggoy himself. Teaching a foreign language to kids from a rural, southern, and culturally isolated community was challenging to say the least. But every day he showed up with a huge smile, a metric ton of optimism, and more energy and interest than I have ever seen a teacher have. His love for people and life was infectious. You could almost feel it. He loved students and he wanted to be there. Naturally prone to being cynical and jaded, his optimism was a huge breath of fresh air for me. It's like he flipped on a light switch and showed me another side of life. And he delivered all of this information with heaping doses of humor and kindness. Once my senior year rolled around, I soon regretted starting French in 10th grade versus 9th grade. At that point, I was on a quest to become fluent in French. The great administration at Nandua gave me special permission to take both French 3 and French 4 in 1 year. Mr. Heggoy gave the thumbs up since he knew I was up to the challenge. He was already quietly giving me advanced assignments on the side to further my progression. While other students were finishing a test, we'd sit in the back of the classroom and talk about French movies, French music, and the very first French novel I was attempting, L'Étranger by Albert Camus. When it came time for college, I bet you can guess what I majored in. Botany. No, just kidding. Thanks in large part to Mr. Heggoy, I got a full scholarship to study French at Susquehanna University in Pennsylvania. I placed very highly at Susquehanna and then transferred to the University of Pennsylvania to study French there the following year. Mr. Heggoy and I wrote letters to one another for several years after I graduated high school. By then, he had become a real friend as well as the mentor he always was. Life happened, as it does, and we lost touch. Over the years, I wanted to know what he was up to and thought about him quite often. I had no clue he struggled with his health and became really sick. When I had heard that he passed away, it took my breath away. I'm quite certain I thanked him for his incredible influence in my life. Now, I would also want him to know that I got a few college degrees, got married, had a career as a video editor, and now have a second career as a software developer. I continue to feel his influence in my life. Believe it or not, the language concepts he taught me absolutely translate to computer languages. At the end of the day, it's all syntax and structure. Most importantly, I now have an 11-year-old son who's taking a language for the first time this year. Of course he chose French, and he's devouring it. Indirectly, Mr. Heggoy has everything to do with that, and I think that would make him very happy. So here's to you, Mr. Heggoy, for the profound kindness, joy, and the fiery bright light you brought to my world. Je t'aime.